And welcome to a new episode of Digital Coffee Gaming Brew, and I'm your host, Brett Dicer. Guys always getting tired of hearing about AAA or now Quadruple A, and there's just too many of these A acronyms or too many A's or whatever. It's just getting a little tiring because it was standard for years to call it double A, triple A, and no one ever thought anything of it. But we're going to be talking about that because now another person has brought up Quadruple A into the sphere because we just need to actually add an additional A to make it top tier. It's going to be fun. But we're also going to be talking about Path of Exile 2, the upcoming season 4 of Marvel Rivals. Also going to be talking about Helldivers 2, and well, it's not going so well with the new update, unfortunately. Also 007 First Light, because there was actually more stuff going on there. An interesting gameplay footage of Prey 2. So the Prey that we got from Arcane Studios is not the original Prey that we've had before. Original Prey was done by a different developer called Human Head, and they actually were developing Prey 2, which was going to be a very, very different, more action, more bounty hunter type game that never came to fruition. But it actually looked pretty cool, and it was unfortunate that it actually never did. So we talk about that. Also, be talking about Lexar's new SSD that is going to be released that is supposed to be used for gaming content creation, things. More layoffs because the gaming industry cannot go without a week without more layoffs. And yeah, we're going to be talking about the monk years of AA, AAA, and Quadruple A and why it's ridiculous to keep on calling it that. But let's get on with the show. That's good. All right, guys, I hope you're having a fantastic Friday. But Path of Exile 2 update titled The Third Edict launched on August 29th. This introduced Act 4 of the campaign, 2 temporary interlude acts, and the first seasonal league called Rise of the Abysmal. Developer Grinding Gear Games released patch 0.3.0b to address player feedback and various issues. The patch includes changes to the Rise of the Abysmal League, specifically making certain enemy abilities more manageable. The Vessel of Kolmok boss will have its arena-wide cleave attack easier to read and dodge, and its teleport slam ability will deal reduced damage. Other enemies such as Abysmal Stranglers and the Shepherd of the Pit will also have reduced damage from certain abilities. So just to rebalance, it's adding more story to it because I got Path of Exile 2 when it actually released on early access, and it was rough. Like, I was having lag spikes. I still haven't played it yet just because of just the lag spikes were not fun to deal with. But it looks like this is a little bit more robust, a little bit better, and a little bit more to what we actually want to see. Because Path of Exile, the original one, is really good, has a lot of depth. Some might say better than Diablo 4, the original one. I don't know if 2's there quite yet, but Diablo 4 is doing better at letting us be the heroes that we want to be and not just kind of nerfing everything and making it basically making re-roll everything and making it better because they nerf things, and it's just never fun to do. But we'll see how well this actually happens when eventually the road to 1.0 gets released. I'm not sure it's going to be anytime soon because it takes a while and there's always rebalancing to be had. But anyways, moving on to Marvel Rivals Season 4 will introduce 2 heroes, Angela and Daredevil. The information was confirmed by NetEase Games through an animated trailer. Angela is implied to be a Vanguard, which they did confirm in her physical appearance. It was in a trailer. She was very fit. And then it seems to be Daredevil is going to be a DPS hero because we need more DPS heroes in Marvel Rivals. But season 4 is titled The Heart of the Dragon and is set to launch on September 12th. The storyline involves a conflict with Angela demands Hela's surrender, and Doctor Doom seeks to steal the chronology of the dragon show low. Marvel Rivals is currently available on PS5, Windows PC, Xbox Series X, and will be released on the PS4. That's right. If you still have a PS4 and you did not upgrade to the newest consoles, you'll be able to play Marvel Rivals. So that's what we have it. So we're actually going to have a flying tank this time with Angela. It should be interesting. Also has a shield as well. Not really sure how well she's going to be until we actually get our hands on it in probably next week-ish. Next week or the week after. But it should be interesting to see how well that's actually going to do with it. And also Daredevil will be a duelist, aka DPS, and fine. I mean, we have way too many DPS right now. Probably need to focus a little bit more on your healers and your tanks, because healers have been a little bit of a drought. I mean, yeah, you got Ultron, but Ultron wasn't great for healing. You got the drone, but the drone doesn't really heal that much. It's got an AoE heal, which is fine, but it just doesn't do much. So I would like to see NetEast focus more on the tanks and the healers, strategists, Vanguard, whatever. It's all the same monkey here, but focusing on that because we need more of that, because just too many DPS / strategists right now. There's way too many. I know they're probably the easier ones to actually make, because a lot of Marvel heroes seem to be more fit in the duelist role, but you need to have more Vanguard and strategists. Just gonna throw it out there. Need more of those, less of the DPS. All right, moving on to Helldivers 2, and apparently there's been some technical performance issues. The CEO did say that it has referred to the technical debt as crippling, and knowledge the game has been experiencing performance issues since the Omens of Tyranny update. The game is now available on 3 platforms. They just released it on Xbox, and there is a Halo type of crossover premium the DLC or loot box or whatever. And he also stated that with the Xbox release completed, the team can focus more on stabilizing the game and is looking to add more resources for this purpose. Good idea. Because having terrible issues like that does not help whatsoever. So, do I still think Helldivers 2 is great? Yeah, it's great fun. I mean, yeah, it's not as popular as when it first released, but man, is it so fun to just drop in the game and have fun with a bunch of different people and do your thing for democracy, because it is always important to fight for democracy. But yeah, it is an issue. The other issue is that they are on a defunct now game engine that is no longer really working. So I don't think that helps it, but I don't think there is an easy way to transfer it over. There is another game that has been on that game engine too, and that was Fat Shark's basically Warhammer 40K version of the original game mode. So there are 2 different games that are working in that specific game engine that is no longer being updated on. So it does not help with that. But yes, the debt of not having it as optimized as it could be does not help them, because it basically drives more players away, because it's like, I'm experiencing a lot of issues. I don't have to deal with fixing these issues anymore. It's not like the old times back in like the 90s where you would be like, oh, it's a bug. How do I fix this? Now we just want everything to work. I still will go through and figure out how to do it, but sometimes it is very frustrating because it gets a lot more technical. You sometimes you have to go through the INI files, but sometimes that doesn't even work because then it can mess up things. So it's a lot of issues all around, and I just hope that they fix it, because Helldivers 2 is a great game. I'm glad they keep on updating and making more new creatures and interesting creatures, because that is a really great thing to do. But yeah, you gotta optimize it. I mean, it's one of those things where today modern gaming, I'm talking about from 2020 to now, most developers don't really optimize their games very well. It's sad, and I don't think Unreal Engine 5 has helped that issue either. I think that plus the inception of FSR, DLSS, XESS, all the AI upscaling stuff has really made it easy, or basically made developers a little bit more lazy on optimizing it. They've just kind of used those as like, oh, we don't need to optimize as much. We'll just have our DLSS or FSR or XESS do it for us, so we don't actually have to do it. And so that's what actually makes it worse, because it's like, no, I need you to actually optimize it and then actually have it, the DLSS and all that stuff, as an extra bonus to make it even more efficient. So those tools should make it more efficient, not be this is the efficiency model. Because when you do that, you run into a lot more problems instead of just making it more efficient. So I think the past 5 years, we've kind of like seen that it's just the laziness of making it more optimized has kind of been by the wayside because of these other technologies that supposed to help it, but it doesn't really help it as much as just making the game optimized for the system. And it's usually just because of PC, because we have a wider range of all these different types of CPUs, motherboards, GPUs, RAM, and everything else. It does make it harder to do it, but you shouldn't still not optimize it. Yeah, it's a lot harder, I'll give you that, but doesn't mean that you don't optimize your game at all. All right, moving on to 007 First Light is being developed by IO Interactive, known for the Hitman series. The game was previously referred to by working title Project 007. There's been new information about that. 007 First Light is scheduled to be released on March 27th, 2026. The game will tell the origin stories of James Bond, so we're going to go through that, but from a different person, a different type of James Bond. This is kind of like a different way of doing it that's not from the movies, basically. That's how I'm seeing this. There are plans for the game to potentially start a new trilogy, so if it does well, we'll get 2 extra games from this, maybe more. We'll see. But from what I've seen, it looks like it could be good. Now, I usually refer to IO Interactive as probably more the premier studios for doing actually like spy, stealth, espionage games. It used to be Konami with Kojima through Metal Gear, but that's not really a thing anymore. I know they just released Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, but that was just a remake from Kojima, and what he did was an amazing job. It's still kind of funny to play an old Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater when a lot of times the stealth is just laying down low in the middle of a thing and the person doesn't recognize you because you have the right camo. But I'm like, yeah, you can tell that I'm just laying there. I'll have my review on that later. I'm still going through it, but it is pretty funny at times to see it. But right now, all I can say is that this developer is the premier developer for that stealth one. Arcane was, but I haven't really heard them making any games, really. And I mean, they were great at what they were doing with this Dishonored. Dishonored was a great stealth action type one. And I mean, like you said, you had Metal Gear developer doing it, but they don't do it anymore. I mean, they did a remake, but it's a remake from a game that's already been done. So we really don't have any. I mean, Ubisoft doesn't do Splinter Cell anymore. I mean, you have games that have stealth-like features, but not like stealth. Like it is the main thing besides Hitman. And Hitman series is the only one that I know of recent that is stealth first, action later. And I don't see any other developer really doing that. I could be wrong, but I don't, from my recollection, know any other developer doing that. And I think that's a travesty, because like the espionage stealth type of genre is sorely lacking. I know it's in favor of Call of Duty, Battlefield, because those are the big hits, but there still is room for that. Like there still is room for strategy games, RTS turn-based strategy games. There are still rooms for RPGs, as Baldur's Gate 3 is a prime example of doing isometric old 90s style games like that into the future, or turn-based RPGs. like Expedition 33. Everything old can be new again because a lot of the younger generation has never played those types of games. And so when they play them, they're like, oh, this is amazing. I wish they would make more of these. And a lot of times they don't because of something. But I'm optimistic and excited, but I really want to see more of what 007 is going to bring and how they're going to portray him and how they're going to respect what the series has laid before. So we'll see what happens, but I'm still optimistic about it. I still think it could be a good game, but we'll see. All right, moving on to there is gameplay footage of Prey 2. Now, I kind of alluded to it in the beginning, but Prey 2 was developed by Human Head, and they made the original one where you're a Native American, you got abducted in this alien ship, and then they had like there was like certain like paths where you could walk up walls. It was a very interesting game. It was still fun, but it was very interesting. Very could be vomit inducing or vertical inducing because you're just going up on walls, up on ceilings. I mean, it was crazy what you could do with it. It was an interesting game. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I actually beat that one. But they eventually the same studio was going to be making Prey 2. And so the game, well, it just never happened. Bethesda said, because that was the publisher at the time when they were still a private company, they just said that the game wasn't there. They weren't happy with Human Head, something or other, and they gave it to Arcane Studios, and Arcane Studios made a very different Prey, but the developer didn't really want to name it Prey. They were kind of forced to name it Prey for whatever reason. Still a fun game, still a great game. I think they should have named it anything else but Prey, because Prey was a very different game from what Arcane Studio was doing. However, the development of Prey 2 ceased in 2011 with the game reportedly close to an alpha state, according to Chris Reinhardt, co-founder of Human Head. The game was officially canceled in 2014 following a statement from Peter Hines indicating that the game did not meet expectations. Many original Human Head developers later joined ZeniMax Online Studios, the developers of Elder Scrolls Online. Earlier in the year, many of the developers were laid off during Microsoft cuts. That's brutal. Which also led to the cancellation of a new sci-fi RPG called Blackbird that had elements reminiscent of Prey 2. Man, this game cannot get launched whatsoever. It's going to be like the vaporware of the current era, like Good and Evil 2. Man, that game, Ubisoft was like, yeah, we're making it. Yeah, we've never seen anything beyond like some CGI trailers, which is still kind of funny that they keep on saying they're making it, but you never see anything about it. It was what Duke Nukem Forever was. Man, that game in the 90s, like the Duke Nukem 3D was great, and then they were trying to 3D Realms was trying to make Duke Nukem Forever, but they just kept on changing the stupid engine, and it kept on being delayed until Gearbox bought the rights, finally released Duke Nukem Forever, and man, it was terrible. I didn't even want to play it just by the reviews. It was like the jokes were just so old that the references just didn't really hit. The gameplay was just not great. It was just bad all around. Might want to play if it's like $1 just to see how bad it is. But man, was that kind of like the vaporware games of like from the late 90s to like 2016. Like, is this going to be another Duke Nukem Forever? Is this going to be another Good or Evil Beyond, or what, that one from Ubisoft 2? Is that going to be that's going to be the new one? And this is going to be the new one too, because it's so unfortunate, because this looks like it could have been a really good game, but supposedly it was not in a good state. We don't really know, because the publisher saying that it's not a good state does not really lend a lot of like confidence in it, because it could be good. The publishers or the higher ups just don't know how to play it, or it could be terrible and they're just like, this is not good. We just don't really know. But man, going from Human Head to doing Prey 2 to going to ZeniMax Online Studios to being laid off when Bethesda was bought out. Brutal. I feel sorry for you guys. But that's where we're at. All right. So Lexar is launching the Ares Pro M2 2880 PCIe 5.0 NVMe SSD because names don't matter for these things. The product was revealed at Gamescom 2025. The SSD is going to be using Gen 5 X4 interface. The Ares Pro SSD is available in 3 sizes: the 1TB, 2TB, 4TB. The 1TB version has reads up to 14,000 megabytes per second, read speeds up to 7,500 megabytes per second. The 2TB model is up to same one, 14,000 megabytes per second for read speed. The write speed is 10,000 megabytes per second. And the 4TB model, it can write up to 11,000 megabytes per second. It's going to be the same speed as the previous ones. The 1TB model can handle 1600K random read operations and 1000 random write operations. The 2TB model can handle 2000 random read operations and 1400 random write operations. And the 4K model can handle 2000 random read operations and 1500 random write operations per second. So the drives are expected to last for 1.5 million hours before failing. That's quite a bit, and the SSD is compatible with Microsoft Direct Storage if the computer meets the requirements. So you have that as well. And this is supposed to bridge the gap between gaming and content creation. If it does, and if it reads at those speeds, great, but it's an SSD drive. It doesn't have to be specific to gaming or content creation. If it's just fast, who cares? But I mean, they have to do this so they can either charge more or make it sound better. I mean, I get it. You're marketing it to a specific group of people, and you need to make it sound like it's fast. It's going to work great for gaming and content creation. And it only does 1TB, 2TB, and 4TB. So it's going to be expensive because when you get into the terabyte range for NVMEs, it always is more expensive. So if you're looking for one, it's gonna cost you a pretty penny, but it could meet your standards. To me, I think it's only really good for like storage, or if you're gonna be doing like need something really fast to do a lot of like video data through it, or if you just want to boot it up as your main drive for your computer. I really don't see much of it from a gaming perspective because it just doesn't seem like it uses all of it to be really worth it on that side of it. You could use a standard SSD, not an NVMe, but an SSD, and you really wouldn't know the difference. So we'll see how well these actually do. But it's good that they actually use Microsoft Direct Storage, so at least you get that bonus if you want to spend the money. No real word on what it's going to cost, but it's probably going to cost, I would say, $400 to $800, give or take. All right, moving on to layoffs. So Firaxis Games is going through layoffs. The developer of the Civilization series, because Civ 7 did not meet expectations whatsoever. And the spokesman stated that there was a staff reduction as the studio restructures and optimizes its development process. The exact number of layoffs is not disclosed, but sources indicate that dozens of workers have been affected. Several developers, including Emma Kidwell, Logan Blackwood, Matthew Davis, and Maya H., have publicly mentioned being laid off on LinkedIn. Take-Two, the parent company of 2K, projected about 5% growth in revenue and net bookings for the year ending March 31st, 2025, despite delaying Grand Theft Auto 6 to 2026. Other studios under 2K, such as Cat Daddy Games and Cloud Chamber, have also experienced layoffs in 2025. A Bloomberg report indicated that BioShock 4 recently failed a publisher review, which led to leadership changes and concerns about potential layoffs. Yeah, it's all good for BioShock 4 because looks like it did not meet the standards whatsoever, and looks like it's going to be a long way off for we actually see anything about it. So if you're looking for a new Bioshock, you're going to be waiting a very long time for a new Bioshock. Unfortunately, Kevin Levine is not really, or his development studio isn't really involved with this whatsoever. The last one was a while ago. I don't remember the name of it, but it was basically the Sky one. I didn't really like the story very much. I thought it was pedantic and didn't really understand religion very well. But the gameplay was great. Just the story was just a mess, and it was a philosophical mess of just inaccuracies and just it was just trite. Religion as like the main thing was just it was just trite. It's been done before, and it was dumb. I love Kevin Levine and all. I love that he made like all the great games of Thief and what was that superhero one? It was Freedom Force. That's what it was. That one and other ones like System Shock as well. He was part of that one. Like he made a lot of great games. No hate for him. It's just that story just did not resonate with me. The original BioShock story was great. BioShock 2 was okay. And then this one, which I don't remember the name, BioShock something. I don't really remember the name. Story was just not as good. But the original BioShock, great story. Would probably should just remake that one, to be honest with you. Would help out so much. But moving on to the main thing about the stupid monkier titles of Triple A, Double A, now again Quadruple A. So the founder of Developer Digital referred to GTA 6 as Quadruple A game, suggesting it surpasses traditional Triple A game in budget, cultural impact, and scope. You could say that for The Witcher 3. You could say that for Metal Gear. You could say that for Bioshock. You could say it for a lot of them. Grand Theft Auto is not in a pinnacle of its own. Like you could say Call of Duty has a bigger cultural impact than, or I wouldn't say bigger, but it's on par with it because every time it comes out with a new game every year, people buy it a lot. They play it a lot. It has a huge cultural impact. I get that Grand Theft Auto has its own little thing, but if we're talking about real cultural impact, I think it's not as big as some of the other ones. Like design wise, it started the open world game. I'll give it that. It did a great job of starting that. And that is the biggest cultural impact it's had. Satire, fine, but I mean, no one really remembers the satire of it that much as it has. They remember like the gameplay. They remember basically being open world and doing what you want with stealing cars and basically treating horrors like terribly and all that other stuff it did. That's the cultural impact that it's actually had. But there's been other ones. I mean, System Shock was not as big because gaming wasn't as big as it was when System Shock came out, but it was still a cultural impact in the gaming community. Now you're talking about the biggest cultural impacts. Halo, Call of Duty are probably the two biggest ones that have had major impact. Then you have Fortnite that has a major cultural impact because just of the inflection point that it did. Overwatch with hero shooters making it extremely popular. Then Marvel Rivals because it's bringing Marvel to gaming in a good way as well. Witcher 3 on RPGs because of the way it handled tough storylines and just kind of the more, I guess, dark fantasy versions of it. And then you have Mass Effect and kind of the Space Odyssey and that cultural impact on it. Like you've had a lot of different ones and they all have their very specific impact. But to say that GTA itself is like the pinnacle of cultural impact, not really so. But it does have a cultural impact. You cannot deny that. But it's like the scope of it. I mean, you could say Red Dead Redemption 2 has had a huge cultural impact too. I mean, all these games have had different cultural impacts at certain times. But to say I'm thinking about like all these games all the time, no. I mean, here and gone, basically. I mean, a lot of people still play GTA 5 because of the online component of it, and that's great. But to me, and maybe because I'm older, but it just doesn't have, and maybe because I just never finished a GTA game. I don't know why. I go play it and then I just never finish it. And I don't know why I never finish it. I think I just get bored or something else that I really want to play goes and I just forget about it. And I go, oh crap, I gotta finish. I gotta restart this game because I have no idea how to do anything anymore. I mean, it's not that hard of a game to figure out. It's just, I just forget about it every time. I never finished. Yeah, I've never finished a Grand Theft Auto game. Never. I finished Ghost of Tsushima like 4 times. I finished Witcher 3 like 4 times. I finished Dragon Age Origins several times. I mean, there's different games I've finished way more often than I did with that. But anyways, it doesn't need a new Monk Gear. Like Ubisoft tried to do this, it didn't work. They don't need to do this again. Yes. Is Grand Theft Auto the pinnacle of AAA games? Yes. Is it on par with a lot of other pinnacles of AAA games? Yes. Like Call of Duty, like Halo, like Fortnite. Well, you could definitely consider Fortnite a AAA game. It just never ends. But you have like the top tier of them, some good, some bad. I would not put Call of Duty as a good category. I would just call it because of the cultural impact of it. Of there's going to be a movie about it. Of every year there's a huge swath of ads and Mountain Dew and all these other product placements for it. I mean, if you want to talk about cultural impact, it's when like Mountain Dew and Rockstar and all these other ones put codes in it for your game. That to me is a huge cultural impact because it's transcending just gaming. Like Grand Theft Auto, I don't remember anything, and I could be wrong, but I don't remember any other product placement outside of the game. Call of Duty, tons of them. But I could be wrong, and it could change from this one, but we'll see. Now, will I say that Call of Duty, or excuse me, Grand Theft Auto has never had cultural impact? No. It's huge cultural impact. I mean, like I said before, it was the start of the open world game. I mean, that's what popularized open world. We've never looked back from it after that. After Grand Theft Auto 3, I mean, that game was a surprise hit from nowhere that nobody saw coming. And there were 2 other games before that, and it was a top-down isometric type of quote-unquote open world game, but it did not have the impact of Grand Theft Auto 3 had. Once Grand Theft Auto 3 was released, that changed everything. That is the cultural point. But beyond that, I don't really know what else is there except for it's a very expensive game now. I think upwards to $1 billion, I think I've heard. So it should be a good game. Yes, the gaming industry like waits for this game, but we also wait for Call of Duty because we know it comes out every year. But like culturally, I don't know of a lot of other points that I could make for this one. And maybe I'm far off on this one, but as a cultural point to it, or cultural impact, I see more cultural impacts from Call of Duty. Not because it's a good game, just because it comes out every year, and just like I said before, I see more impacts because of where it's branched out from. I don't see many things branching out from Grand Theft Auto, if I'm being really honest. I see games have imitated them, but games have also imitated Call of Duty. Call of Duty 2 was the first time we saw regenerative health. Before, it was health packs, kind of like what Overwatch and Marvel Rivals does, health packs. But then Call of Duty 2 did regenerative health, where you didn't have to do health packs anymore. And that was a game changer when Call of Duty 2 came out. When Call of Duty 4 came out, that's when they did their kill streaks and everything. And that was a huge impact on gaming because that changed Call of Duty forever. And then it just got more popular and more popular and more popular. This is before they did every year release. And then after, I think, Modern Warfare 2, they did a yearly release. And then it got more popular. The inflection point for even then was then Black Ops, because that was an interesting thing. And then there are a few other ones. And I think Modern Warfare in 2019 was another huge cultural moment within Call of Duty. But even for Grand Theft Auto, the cultural impacts is every 5 years or so. There's a new game from them in the Grand Theft Auto world. I know they do a lot of painstaking things to make this game really good, but beyond just the release of games, I don't know what other cultural impacts it actually has had beyond when 3 came out and people were like, oh, you could do this because it's open world. That was the novelty of it. And then online, where you could play with friends, do things, do crazy things, that was another cultural impact. But 6, I mean, it's still a question mark on how good it's actually going to be. Are people going to buy it? Of course they are. It's Grand Theft Auto. It's like Call of Duty. When that thing comes out, you're like, bye. Not so much Call of Duty anymore, but it used to be. Call of Duty used to be that way for a lot of people. But I'm just sick and tired of Quadruple A or 5A games or whatever we're going to monkey. Just leave it Triple A games. People understand the term. Stop making more A's just because you're trying to say it's this pinnacle of something, because it just gets convoluted. Nobody really cares anymore. It's Triple A. It's top tier Triple A, but it's Triple A. So where is this all going? Well, we'll see when Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out how much of a cultural impact this will have, being so far gone from when 5 came out to this one, how well it's received by gamers, how much of an impact it has on the general society of it. Because I can guarantee you, people know Call of Duty more than they know Grand Theft Auto, because Call of Duty is just everywhere. That cultural impact is felt. This one, not as much, but there is impact on it. And that's where I stand on this. I'm not saying that Call of Duty is great. I'm just talking about impact in general. But what do you think? Do you think I just missed the boat and Grand Theft Auto has a bigger cultural impact than I think? Could happen. Let me know in the comments below. But thank you for listening to Digital Coffee Gaming Brew. I really do appreciate it. As always, please subscribe to this podcast on all your favorite podcasting apps. If 5-star review will just up the rankings. Let me know how I'm doing. And join me next week as I talk about what's going on in the PC gaming industry. All right, guys, stay safe. Get to playing the games you want to play. And see you next week. Later.